what do you want to be when you grow up? Like, for you, what was the answer to that question when you were a kid?
Well, I don't really know now, because school wasn't a great thing in that it didn't particularly agree with me. Now, schooling was a bit strenuous in that I started off in O'Connell schools on the north side in 1A, 2B, 3C, 4D, 5E and 6F. So I was consistent. Mind you, it was on a downward trajectory, but I then failed the entrance to the secondary school. And then I got in the back door into Plasmurra over in around Dorset Street there, Mary's Place, and it closed down after 12 months. So, like, we didn't really agree. And then I went on to Brunswick Street, and I had the honourable distinction, I'm not sure if I was the only one in school, but I certainly had the distinction of being one of the exclusive group who failed the Inter.
Right. Yeah.
So I said, here, this isn't for me, and I got out, and I had a job within a week or 10 days selling furniture and electrical goods with a man called Ted Maguire, the late Ted Maguire, in Talbot Street. And he was a brilliant man in that he taught me how to sell. And ultimately, selling was my point when it came to photography, because I went on then to work in another furniture shop, and they closed down because it was ultimately British owned, and they decided to get out of ERA. And I had to take up the camera then, and I joined with a man, the late Jim O'Kelly, and he could process film. He was brilliant at processing film and all that sort of thing. And I wasn't too bad at selling them, because that's where my expertise was. And the rest is history. Unfortunately, Jim left, then he went to the Indo, and more regrettably, he's since passed away. But I was left holding the baby with Sportsfile, and we're now a business that has 20 people employed.
Brilliant.
So I say, what about school? I didn't really bother. It didn't quite agree with me,
Well, whatever about the Intercert, I mean, school of life is nearly, as you say, more important.
As they say up around your part of the country, an ounce of pluck is worth a ton of shit.
Yeah. That's the Monaghan. That's the Monaghan colourful language for you.
Well, I would have thought more Cavan now than
Cavan. Yeah. We won't be roped in with them lads. No. They're lovely people in Cavan, I have to say as well. Keep your friends close, as they say. Ray, a season of Sundays. Before you come into studio, we were looking outside at, and we have some of them behind you in studio here today. 1997 was the first year of a season of Sundays. How did the idea to come about? Because people will see it there. A lot of people will be familiar with the season of Sundays. It's a collection of some of Sportsfile's best photos from across the previous 12 months. From across the world of sport in Ireland, and of course you can pick it up for Christmas in all good bookstores, I'd imagine. And
thanks be to God, it's not too expensive, because Carol's of Tullamore sponsor it, and without them, by the way, it couldn't come out, because we start in about the 1st of February and we walk right through until July or August getting it ready. I was driving along one day, and the late, I seem to be talking about the late in every case here, but the late Raymond Smith worked for the independent newspapers, and I remember he called me one day, not while I was driving, but when I was out, or I was in the office one day, and he called me and he said, Raymond Smith here. He had a very distinct, sharp voice, and he said, would you have any old photos lying around? I'm doing the annual. And I said, what do you mean, like, lying around? Well, he said, ones like that would fall on the darkroom floor. Wouldn't be much. I'll take them. And I said to myself, whatever work I do, I don't mean to be anybody like Karsh or any of these great photographers. To me, I just take pictures, and I like taking pictures, and that's it. But your man wanted any old pictures lying around, and I said, there has to be a better way of displaying the pictures. So I rang my good friend when I got back, or whenever I had a chance, I rang my good friend Padder Staunton. He's a Mayo man. Poor man is still trying to wait on them to win Sam. But anyway, I said to him, what can we do? And he said, look, go into the Easons, he said, and have a look and see what you think you have in mind. So I went into Easons the next Saturday or the week after it, and I saw a book on sailing or harbours around Ireland that were taken from the sky, and it was a lovely book, and it was exactly that size, 290 by 290, so many pages in it. And I said, here, we'll put one on every page and we'll see how it goes. and I've been lucky enough to have had Aer Lingus and now, as I say, Carol's sponsoring it, because while many people produce books and they're not sponsored, I find that it's rather expensive to bring that out to the standard that we have achieved, in that it's good quality, nice paper. Paul and PB prints it, and so there's a lot of things, and there's a lot of dedication. I wouldn't make money out of that, but I love what I do, and I love to show it off. I remember another time going to a man who wanted to see me, that his company was thinking of hiring Sportsfile to do some work, and I walked in and he handed me this little business card like that, and he said, "That's my card." And I turned around to him and handed a book, and I said, "That's my card." So then, of course, he looked at the book and said, "Oh yeah, you can take photographs, all right."
Yeah. Who needs a CV when you have a book to show off all your work?
Well, we traditionally use the book as our CV, and it's not my book, it's our book. Everybody actually, that's the picture that's on at the moment. That picture is the first time that I've had the cover of the book, right? That's Sean O'Shea of Kerry and his teammates after on the 10th of July, and they've just beaten Dublin. And it's about capturing a moment and getting a nice cover, and it's more about producing the book than it is making profit.
Yes, that's
money doesn't motivate me.
100%. That's one of the photos that we'll get to. You very kindly provided a number of photographs from across your career that we're going to dive into. Now, how many of them we'll get through, we'll see. And of course, there's a radio audience here and podcast, so if you're listening, we'll describe the photo as best we can for you. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter, you'll see the image pop up. So we're starting, I think, Ray, with the first photograph that'll pop up here, 6th of February 1982. So for the people listening on radio, AM Hosey, the Scottish referee, signalling an Irish try scored by Ginger McLaughlin. This is England versus Ireland at Twickenham. To
be fair, it's just one of my favourite pictures. It's old and it's in black and white, and as you say, it's from February 1982. But the reason I show it is that you have to actually describe that Ginger McLaughlin is at the bottom of the pile, because it's probably best looked at, this picture, in TV land on YouTube or somewhere, because Ginger McLaughlin got the ball about 30 yards out. Some say it was 150 yards out, but it was probably about 30 yards out. And he literally pushed and pulled and dragged half of the English team and 3/4 of the Irish team until he eventually got over the line. And it became famous, and there wasn't that many pictures of it. And as I say, it's not a particularly clear picture, but he is at the bottom of the pile, and the fans are all looking on, and it's sort of nostalgic,
1982, like 40 years ago in February. Like can you take yourself back to matches like that in at the speed of thought, or is it a case of you can't remember it?
I can tell you that I was sitting at the end of the goal line. I had a Nikon camera on with a 180 lens on. Those of you that are into photography, it's a 180mm lens. That's kind of medium telephoto lens, without getting too technical into it. It was manual focus, and you literally just, focus and fire. That's it. It's nothing. There's no. See, I'm not into all this arty stuff about photography and I am an artist and all that. I take pictures and I sell them. That's it. Like, there's no pictures at home on my wall. There's perhaps there's one or two of my daughter, and latter years there's one or two of Rian and Luca, my two grandchildren. But like, I have another picture on the wall. I have one other picture on the wall at home that we'll come to later on. But very few, the old saying, nearer to church the further from God. I'm not like you've 10 times more pictures on the walls here than I have.
Right.
But then you probably don't put sort of podcasts up on your wall at home.
That's true.
It's work.
Yeah,
it's work,
exactly. Yeah, that's a fair point. Like that photograph there, it's one of those great things about photography. You've got obviously the English and Irish players at Twickenham in the foreground, but it's really about the facial expressions in the background. Well, you've got like people with just pure unfiltered joy.
Yeah, and to some extent, I'd say the few Brits that amongst them are probably in shock as well. Like that would be, at that time, it would probably be predominantly an English audience, you know, in that whatever few tickets the Irish lads got, they were probably in the stand.
Yes.
Or midfield maybe, but as you know, no more than ourselves, the Irish, or the English rather, don't like Ireland scoring tries.
Yeah, of course.
Twickenham.
Why would they?
Excuse me.
Yeah. It's a wonderful photograph.
Young man, what's the story?
Yeah.
You know?
The second photograph, Ray, it's iconic. So 11th of February 1986, for those of you listening, Jack Charlton, accompanied by Joe Delaney, the Assistant Honorary Treasurer of the FAI at the time, arriving at Dublin Airport just 4 days after he was appointed as Republic of Ireland manager. When you know now in hindsight what happened thereafter and the joy and great days that Jack brought us, it just brings home how iconic. Like, you can see his first step, the step he's taken there from the arrivals lounge, and you'd almost compare it to Neil Armstrong's first step on the moon. Like, that is Jack Charlton stepping on Irish soil for the first time as Irish manager.
Yeah, and the most important part of that picture is, in fact, the word arrivals.
Yeah.
You know, anybody, including myself, could have zoomed in. You know, as a rule, you'd zoom in on the subject, you know, and say, get a nice tight picture of the subject arriving. I had what we would call in the trade, I had information to suggest that his arrival was imminent.
Okay, yeah.
And you know yourself, in the trade, you might get an odd occasional tip off, and I was in that. I used to do a lot of soccer football at the time, so I was in the inner circle that would hear these things, and I just went out. But the most important thing to me was to have the word arrivals. Like, it's nothing to me without the word arrivals, because, and by the way, he's with, and people will say, and I'll probably get a rap on the knuckles for this, but he's with one of the nicest men I ever met, Joe Delaney.
Yeah.
You know, Joe Delaney is a gentleman. He was the honorary treasurer at the time in the FAI, and I didn't know he'd be accompanying him now, to be honest with you, and how he even got into arrivals, I don't know, but then Joe got himself into many corners. But
are you trying to, you know, you say you got a tip off that he was arriving, like, are you waiting in the airport for ages? Do you know exactly what time to be there?
I don't recall now, but again, you know, he was coming from the UK, so there wouldn't be too many destinations, and remember, it's back in 1986, like, the airport wasn't flooded with passengers at the time. But no, I would have had an indication that he was coming, say, in the afternoon or in the evening. I think that's actually in the evening time, if I recall correctly. But you'd have information to suggest that, yeah, he'll be coming between 5 and 7, you know, so you look up and say, well, there's one in from Leeds there at 7 o'clock, and there's one in from London at 6 o'clock, you know, so, you know, you
best guess.
Well, yeah, you get out, and then the main thing is to be ready.
Yes.
You know, having the information and not being ready that's the problem, you know.
It's even the lads it's February, so they've got the big coats, and Jack has the famous hat on him as well there.
Yeah, and like, I wouldn't have interacted with him or anything. I just took a shot, and they walked by, and
there was no hello, how are you getting on?
No, like, we in sports, well, that would be a thing we'd say, like, we're not going around high-fiving, you know. There's you'd see an odd photographer fan, you know, that'd be going around high-fiving players and all that. Oh, how are you, buddy? No, we would treat them as professionals, and
they're to do a job. Well,
they're the players and the managers for that are there to do a job. And while we would know, like, I would know a lot of players, and, you know, like if Brian Fenton ran out in Croke Park, ran past me, he'd say, how are you, Ray?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't go around high-fiving him and saying, oh, how are you, Brian? You know, no, he's courteous. Paul McGrath used to do it. You know, a lot of players would do it. If they just happened to run out past you, they'd say hello, but, like, that'd be it. You know, you wouldn't be.
They'd see you everywhere, so it's, you know, they're going to get to know you as a regular around the place.
That happens too.
The next photograph, Ray. So this is the following year, 12th of July, 1987. Nicky English, Tipperary's Nicky English, celebrating scoring a goal after kicking the ball into the net. Of course, the famous kicked goal. He lost his hurl during this Munster Senior Hurling Championship final tip against Cork, Semba Stadium in Thurles. And for anyone who's looking at it on camera there, you'll see number 15, back to the camera, the short shorts from the late 80s, the beautiful tip jersey with the sleeves rolled up. It's an iconic photograph, Ray, isn't it?
It is, because Nicky wore his hair long as well, you know, and you'd know, like, I'd know, okay, I took that one, but I'd know Nicky English. You know, no matter, there's a lot of players you'd know no matter what way they turn, you know. So And Nicky is a lovely fella, and as you say, it was a rather famous score in that he kicked the ball, but come here. It's also nice because the background is out of focus, and another thing there is that I probably had the wrong lens on at that stage. So when he kicked it, I would either see his upper body or his lower body because the zoom on the lens was such that he was too close to me.
Yes.
So I missed him. That you call that a good picture, that to us would be a bad picture because we've actually missed the scoring of the goal. But in turn, then you take what you get, and then what you get is him turning and running away, and that in itself makes it possibly a better picture.
The fact that his face isn't in it, it nearly adds to it.
Yeah, but there wouldn't be many that wouldn't know 15 with a head of hair like that, with even in black and white, to coach Amanda from the snooker many years ago. If you're watching in black and white, the blue is in the right hand corner. You'd know that that's a Tipperary jersey. And as you say, the short shorts, it's him all over,
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Good fella too, by the way.
Nicky English, an absolute legend.
Good fella.
Absolute legend. The next photo, 12th of April 1998, for those listening, we've got the former Taoiseach, Bertie Ahern, the then Taoiseach, congratulated for his efforts in the peace talks by supporters. So he's driving himself and his two daughters away here, Ray, from Croke Park, following the Church and General National Football League semi-final. So Donegal against Offaly at Croke Park in Dublin. This is a brilliant photograph. This is around the Good Friday Agreement. Yeah,
it's just a simple photograph, but there's a number, really a number of things about the photograph, and it wouldn't be technically brilliant. Like if you see the man on the right hand side, my flash is hitting him too much, and then the Taoiseach is driving. That's the starters. Taoiseach don't drive.
You don't see that anymore.
Well, Bertie would have driven a number of times, in that he would have been there in his private capacity. So he wasn't necessarily there as Taoiseach. He was there, I can't remember who was playing at the match now, but National Football League semi-final, it was probably Dublin were involved.
It was, I said it there.
Anyway, just the fact that he's there saying hello, a lot of people looking on, and if I recall, that was the time his mother died. And if I recall, he returned to Belfast, after that. So, and if I recall now, what's that, 25 years ago, is it?
Donegal Offaly it was as well.
Yeah, Donegal Offaly. We got your fair man on the stats, or else you're quick on that keyboard.
That's your caption, thankfully, giving that info to me.
Oh, is it? Sorry. Oh, I see it there now. Yeah, Donegal Offaly. Sorry.
I'm not that quick off the mark, don't worry.
Yeah, but it's just a simple and historic picture. That's the thing, is that it's, had we had a season of Sundays, it might have been in at that stage.
Yeah, no doubt. Could have been a cover one in 1998 for sure. The next photograph is 10 years previous to that, so 12th of June 1988. A famous goal here. Republic of Ireland's Ray Houghton on the right of the picture. He's celebrating, he's wheeling away with his teammates Ronnie Whelan as John Aldridge and Paul McGrath run to join in. And then England left to right, you've got Neil Webb, the goalkeeper Peter Shilton, Tony Adams, Captain Brian Robson, John Barnes and Kenny Sampson, all claiming for an offside with the arms up. So this was the Euros 1988, Group B, Republic of Ireland against England at the Neckar Stadion in Stuttgart. An iconic, it must have been special to be there that day, Ray, because we talk about the game all these years later with such nostalgia and pride.
Kind of as I line up here now to talk to you, I kind of get the buzz that was there that day, because I can recall. I went out on an Aer Lingus flight that day, and if I recall correctly, it was the first time they had flown into Stuttgart, and I know that it's mad when you think of it now. I could turn this camera up here, this phone, and turn up, take your picture, and have you all over the world in 1 second, right? But at that time, I had film, right? And I was working for, I won't name them just now to save the embarrassing the Irish Times, but I was working with the Irish Times at the time, and I was sending back film, and the flight attendant had agreed to take the film, right? So we met at half time and I gave the film because that flight was going back earlier than I was, right?
Yes.
So they sent back the film was processed, and I said, look, watch roll number 3, for example. There's a picture on it, Ray Houghton scored the goal. And the picture appeared in the paper the next day, And if I recall correctly, the caption read, Ireland players react as Ray Houghton brackets not in picture. Because what they'd done is they had cropped it in as far as the O in Coleraine.
Oh no. Cut out Houghton.
And cut out Houghton.
I mean, of all men to cut out from the photograph.
But it was a sort of, they needed the guy on the left with the ball, and they needed Shilton in goal, and they needed space for everything.
Yes.
Except they didn't have the goal scorer.
Yeah, you can't be leaving Houghton out of that picture.
But it was a mad day, and the buzz around the place. But the buzz around the place at that time was phenomenal anyway.
Yes.
Like it was, if you're Irish, you're into the parlour, kind of like the place was taken over. They were running riot in a metaphorical sense.
Yes.
There was nobody bold about it, but it was just, the Irish were mad, mad and great.
Yes, what a day. 12th of June 1988, iconic goal for Ray Houghton against England in Stuttgart, of course. Another Irish footballing legend in the next photograph race. So this is the 6th of September 89, and it kind of reminds me of the Nicky English photo in that you only see the back and you see the jersey number. This one is in colour. So this is a famous man, Liam Brady.
If you're watching this on radio, you got to see it somewhere. You got to try and see this picture, because this would be one of my all-time favourite pictures, and I don't cherish an awful lot, in that I'm not into photography per se, but if you see this picture, it is from behind. Again, the head, the arms down, and if you look at the two shoulders, they are definitely dropped a little bit.
Yes.
The suggestion at the time was that Charlton didn't particularly fancy Liam Brady as a player or as a midfielder or as whatever, and as it transpired, that was the last time that Brady played, if I recall correctly.
This is a friendly against Germany at Lansdowne Road.
But I believe it's the last time he played, and I would think that looking at the back of him and the way he's slouched, his head is down and his two shoulders are dropped down, as opposed to standing up or nice and firm and strong.
Body language is totally opposite to Nicky English, like from behind. Completely opposite.
Nicky English has chest out, running away in glory. Liam Brady has everything down here and probably knows it's the end of the line.
Yeah, you can tell.
There's no coming back here.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a brilliant photograph, I have to say. The next one then, we'll rifle through them. It's 14th September 1997. James O'Connor of Clare, watching his shot sailing over the crossbar. So this is the Guinness All-Ireland hurling final, Clare and Tipperary at Croke Park in Dublin, September 1987. And this is the winning point for Clare.
Well, this is one that breaks the rules, because in our game, it's kind of, the unwritten rule is no ball, no picture. Right? Because if you haven't got a ball in it, then it's not a picture. But there are occasional exceptions, and this is definitely one of them. James O'Connor has hit a shot, and I've missed. I'm a half a second too late. But I'm the only one that actually got the motion of him actually striking the ball. And he scored a point, and that point was the difference between them and Tipperary, which meant we win the All-Ireland.
And the Clare fans in the background as well.
Pardon?
The Clare fans in the background.
Actually, as it happens, my wife is from Scariff in County Clare, and she would have identified a number of people from the area, believe it or not, in the background of the picture. But it's a relatively historic picture, and it's also, if you look at it, there's people sitting in what used to be the sideline seats in the front of Hogan Stand. Like, that'll never be repeated. There's the old wire mesh, or it wasn't barbed wire, but there was wire mesh along the whole front of the Hogan Stand. But it's just like, he's off the ground, he's hitting the ball, or as I say, he has hit the ball, but it's a winning point.
Absolutely. You're kind of similar to the Joe Canning famous photograph that was on a cover of A Season of Sundays in 2017, the winning point from that All-Ireland semi-final Galway against Tip, where you can almost tell by the player's face whether or not it's going to go to the bar.
And I can tell you that, I don't know how it is, but they know once it leaves the stick.
Yeah,
they know.
Just have a feeling.
Yeah. They know the flight. They know the way they're after hitting it. They know if it's going to be strong enough to hit it. No, they know well what's happening, you know.
We have to take a quick ad break, but we might just do one more photograph before the ad break and then do the remainder on the far side, Ray. It's brilliant just to go through all these. But it's another hurling one. So 20th of July 2002. I have to say, this looks painful. Eugene Clunan of Galway breaking his hurl on Brian Quinn's forehead as he attempts to prevent him from clearing. This is Clare versus Galway, All-Ireland hurling quarter-final at Croker in July of 2002, 20 years ago.
Well, I have to come clean here and say that that's the caption I wrote back in the 28th of July in 2002, and it's a lie. It's wrong.
Okay.
It's an illusion. This picture is actually an illusion because, in fact, the hurley has broken a moment earlier.
Right.
And he pursues him with the broken hurley. So as he's going in, the hurley should be long and strong, but in fact it's bent.
So where's the other piece? The other piece is in his hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the rest of it is just the other side of his head.
But I thought for a long time, and I know that that hung in the Press Photographers Association of Ireland have an exhibition every year, and that hung at the time in the exhibition. And I'm glad to report too, by the way, that AIB Bank are now coming back in to support the photographers, which is a great thing for photography. The fact that AIB have come back as a sponsor, but that was in the exhibition at the time, and I felt a little wrong about it in that it does look as if he'd broken it.
Yes,
but the truth is that he hasn't actually broken it. But the camera never lies, so there it is.
There it is.
Make what you want of it.
And brilliant photograph. Ray, stay with us. We're just going to take a quick ad break. So it's Ray McManus of Sports File in studio with us. Keep your text coming in as well to 53106. Someone says here, Ray, I'm missing one edition of Season of Sundays. Can it be gotten anywhere?
I'll tell you, the best is the local sale or the local whatever. I don't know what year it is, but
could be any year, I suppose.
There are a few of them that are not available. I was in a charity shop one day in Parliament Street, and I saw a book for sale, and the man had the audacity to ask me for a $5 for it, and I said, give it to me quick.
Yeah.
Because it couldn't be got.
Yeah, exactly.
So the luck of the draw is everywhere I go, anywhere I go, any town, any place, I go into the shop that's selling the old stuff and I try and buy it back. But I haven't bought one in years.
Unbelievable.
Sorry about that, listener.
No problem. Someone else has texted into 53106 for you, Ray. I was a member of the RTN Boys band from 1995. Ray was always very good to the band. We would fly down to the newsagents when the new issue of High Ball, I think it was called, was released to see which one of us he put in the magazine. Fond memories.
And I remember, by the way, I did a tour of the USA, well, the east coast of the USA with the RTN Boys band, and I did a tour with them in Moscow too. But I remember the one in the USA. It was New York today and somewhere else tomorrow, and going on a bus and I came back and I was exhausted. And it happened that there was a Wales-Ireland rugby match on in Dublin that day, and I remember, my wife will kill me for reminding, but I was just zonked. And I went to bed and I kept saying, what day is it? What day is it? It transpired anyway. I was brought to the Mead Hospital in case, what's wrong. And I remember this Pakistani or foreign, or I don't know where the man was from, but he looked into me in the bed and said, "It's okay, Mr. McManus, you only had mild heart attack."
Jeez, yeah.
I never had the heart attack, but I was just exhausted.
Yeah, just completely tired out.
RTN Boys band.
That's a throwback.
Wild men at the time.
Yeah.
And thankfully there's women there now too.
Yeah, absolutely. 1995. So that's a great text to get into 53106. Stay with us, Ray. We'll be back with you very shortly just to update people on what's happening. So Brentford have stunned Man City in the Premier League. Ivan Toney scored a winner deep into injury time as Brentford beat Manchester City 2-1 at the Etihad. Both goals for Brentford today from Ivan Toney, who of course during the week did not make Gareth Southgate's England squad. 62 minutes now on the clock at the Aviva Stadium. It's Ireland against Fiji. There's just been another try for Mac Hansen, I believe, Andy.
Yeah, turnover from a Fijian scrum close to their own try line. Craig Casey sniped up the left into the left corner, and a nice wide pass for Mac Hansen to finish. Jack Crowley with his first conversion from the touchline in an Irish jersey, and he nailed it. He's come onto the field as a replacement for Joey Carberry, who looks like he was taken off from a precautionary point of view, got a really severe shoulder to the face, and the Fijian tackler Albert Tuasui was given a red card. So there was also a yellow card for the Fijians. So for the last 10 minutes approximately they've been down to 13 men, and Ireland haven't had much chance to capitalise on that because Fiji had a lot of possession, but they now have capitalised finally, and it's 28-10 after 62 minutes.
Great stuff, Andy. We'll be back to you before the end of that game at Lansdowne Road. Stay with us here on Off the Ball Saturday. Shane Hannon with you through until 5 o'clock. We have Football Saturday on the way from 3 with Dan McDonald, David Connolly and Brian Gartland as well, but we'll be back with Ray McManus after these ads.
Off the Ball on News Talk. Down to business.
On Saturday the 19th of November, I'll be bringing you Down to Business live from Green Acres in Wexford Town. I'll be talking to some local businesses, big and small, celebrating what the sunny southeast has to offer in business and leisure. There'll be some county heroes like former Wexford hurling manager and hotelier Liam Griffin, and music will be supplied by Gavin Glass. I'll also be visiting Rosslare Port to gauge the traffic post-Brexit. To be part of our audience, simply go to newstalk.com/events and register now as places are limited.
Down to Business.
Brought to you by Bank of Ireland.
So that's Down to Business with me, Bobby Kerr, live from Green Acres in Wexford Town, Saturday the 19th of November.
On News Talk.
Guaranteed Irish business members continue to sustain jobs and communities across Ireland.
There's a name you may not know behind many Irish business successes, like helping delivery pizza arrive on time or navigating the property market online. It's GeoDirectory, Ireland's leading data intelligence expert. See how our powerful data toolkit can help you verify addresses, identify opportunities and win customers. Visit geodirectory.ie today.
And look out for the G. GuaranteedIrish.ie. Altogether better.
Hi, I'm Ken Doherty, and when I need car insurance, I contact the specialists at insuremycars.ie. Their team always finds me the best policy at the lowest price and with all the benefits I need. If your car insurance is up for renewal, visit insuremycars.ie.
City Financial Marketing Group Limited, trading as insuremycars.ie, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Has your home been tested for radon? Responsible for 350 cases of lung cancer in Ireland every year, radon exposure is second only to smoking. It's a radioactive, colourless, odourless, invisible gas found in all homes. If your home has a high level of radon, it may be putting you at an unnecessary risk. Radon is easy to test for, easy to fix, and only a problem if it's ignored. Get peace of mind and visit radon.ie or call our free phone number 1-800-300-600 and find out how to test your home and keep your family safe. Brought to you by the EPA.
You may think you know driving, but you don't know Nissan e-Power. An electric motor that brings you the performance and response on the road that you demand, charged by a petrol engine as you drive. The thrill and economy of electric driving without ever having to plug in. And it's exclusive to Nissan. Who said you have to plug in to drive electric? Find the drive you've been looking for with e-Power. Now available in the new Nissan Qashqai. A unique electrifying experience now unplugged. Nissan. Innovation that excites.
Save Our Squad with David Beckham.
I grew up in East London. This is where it all began for me.
Now streaming exclusively on Disney+.
I've always wanted to give back to football. That's why I'm back.
A brand new original series.
This game is not over. Never give up.
Save Our Squad with David Beckham. Now streaming exclusively on Disney+. 18+ subscription required. T's and C's apply.
At Centra this week, choose from our amazing mega deals. Like Centra Fresh Hour Sirloin Steak, 14.54 gram, only €6. Cadbury Oreo Tin, 396 gram, half price now €3. And Heineken 20 bottle box, only €23. Smart choices, choose Centra. Centra, live every day. Enjoy cost sensibly.
Stephanie Roach here. Take the hassle out of claiming your taxes. Let Irish Tax Rebates do the work for you. Complete our online application in less than 1 minute and we'll do the rest. We carry out your full tax review and increase your rebate by claiming all related expenses and reliefs. Get your rebate directly into your bank account without the paperwork and stress. Remember, no rebate, no fee. Apply for your tax rebate now at irishtaxrebates.ie. Your market-leading tax rebate company.
Last Christmas, millions in cash prizes were won by people playing the National Lottery's Christmas scratch cards. This year, you could scratch and win up to €100,000 instantly. Play the National Lottery's range of Christmas scratch cards. The National Lottery. It could be you. Gift responsibly.
Dear Santa, give the gift of 5G this Christmas with Air's best ever prepay offer. For just €20 top-up, get no limits 5G data, unlimited calls and texts. Plus, get €50 off the latest 5G phones by switching to Air Prepay.
You're right, Gran does need a new phone with 5G so she can watch even more cat videos.
For more, go in store or visit air.ie. Phone subject to availability. €20 top-up every 28 days. Fair usage applies. Offer ends December 31st. For full terms, see air.ie.
This is Dr. Georgina Jordan, Head of Emergency Response for Goal. Millions of displaced families face a Christmas of hunger, danger and fear far from their homes. Right now, Goal staff are supporting families in places like South Sudan and Syria. Please make an urgent donation at goal.ie now. That's goal.ie. Thank you.
Looking for the perfect gift? Why not send them somewhere unexpected? Send them to the scene of the crime, where nothing is as it seems. Send them on a date with someone completely unsuitable. Send them to another land, a place where no roads lead to. Find the shortlist for the An Post Irish Book Awards at anpost.com/readerswanted and discover the joy of sending books, from novels to non-fiction. An Post, proud sponsor of the Irish Book Awards.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
Very welcome back to Off the Ball Saturday here on News Talk. Shane Hannon with you through until 5 o'clock. Ireland 28, Fiji 17 now. Fiji have scored a try since we were speaking to you last. 69 minutes on the clock at the Aviva Stadium. While in the Premier League, Brentford have stunned Manchester City at the Etihad 2-1. Ivan Toney with both goals for Brentford, including an injury time winner in that one. We're live on Off the Ball Saturday on News Talk, and we're also live on video as well, YouTube, Facebook and Twitter on the stream, because Ray McManus of Sportsfile, the sports photography legend, is with me in studio. Ray, we've been going through some of your fantastic photographs from over the years. We've got a bit of time to get through a few more of them. So the next one we have is 24th of June 2003. Josephat Kipkovic of Kenya on his way to winning the gold medal at the 5,000 metres final. This is the Special Olympics World Summer Games in 2003 at Morton Stadium in Santry in Dublin. And for people who can't see this photograph, what's iconic is you see the track, the red track with the white line, and bare feet for the Kenyan athlete.
Yeah, Special Olympics has been special to me for the last 30 or whatever number of years it is, since Mary Davis, or Julian Davis perhaps, I don't know, I think it was Mary Davis actually called me. They were setting up Special Olympics Ireland, and I've tried to support them in some nominal way over many years, but this particular picture that you speak of is literally a pair of bare feet, and it's unusual in the sense that obviously every runner runs in proper shoes and all that, but this guy, just Joseph, decided from Kenya that he'd run in his bare feet, and rather than take his facial expression or him winning the crossing the line or whatever, I decided to take his feet. And as I say, you know, it'll probably it'll bring us into the. It's unusual that I have. Well, actually, they're slightly in the wrong order, because the next picture I have is one that I took of Muhammad Ali with Nelson Mandela.
Oh yes, brilliant photograph.
And that has become somewhat iconic too, in that it's frightening in a sense, and you get a kind of a buzz when you're in a room with these. Like, to me, every athlete is the same. Whether it's Muhammad Ali, you know, Owen Kelly, Nicky English, Brian Fenton, they're all the same to me. They're all doing their best. They're all the same. And you know, whether they're the world star or, you know, just a local star, I'm not worried. But that day, I was all ready to take the picture, and the next thing someone comes up and says, "Now, you know, you can't use a flash in here." You know what? Now, if it happened today, it wouldn't be any problem, because, as the lads in Birmingham would tell you, downtown there, they'd the cameras they have now they'd nearly take the picture themselves.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But certainly Brian Whelan, the boss man down there, would tell you anything. But the man came over and said, "Look, don't use the flash." So I had to change my tack on that particular picture. And look, it's fine. What do you call him? Muhammad Ali is the only one I ever asked for an autograph in nearly 40 years.
Amazing.
And believe it or not, I can't find the autograph now. But also, I had a little notebook. I'm prone to having a little black notebook, like a Garda's notebook. And he signed on one page and it wasn't good enough, and he flicked on to the next. And I signed again. It wasn't good enough, and he flicked on again. And honestly, he was...
You got a few of them?
Yeah, but none of them were right. Now, I can't find the notebook, but
it'll show up at some point, hopefully.
Such is life.
Yeah, a brilliant photograph. It was former South African President Nelson Mandela landing a straight left on the chin of Muhammad Ali. So the South African Special Olympics athlete, Lucky On in the background as well. So that was the Four Seasons Hotel in Ballsbridge in Dublin.
I'll be going to Berlin, please God, next year to do the World Special Olympic Games again.
Brilliant.
Watch out for the special athletes. They are worth watching. They love to see their picture in the paper.
Yeah.
There's a buzz. There's the same buzz about that as there was the England-Ireland game in Stuttgart.
Yes.
That's the buzz I get when I do special.
You see their face when they realise they're in it. Absolutely. There's a buzz in the next photograph for 5th of September 2010. Tribal Right. So Tipperary players celebrating around the Liam McCarthy Cup following its safe arrival back into their dressing room, reads the caption. So this, of course, broke the stranglehold of the great Kilkenny team of that era. The Tip players there banging the table, water bottles and Lucasades and everything else strewn around the dressing room, smiles all round, and sheer joy on the face of the Tipperary players here, Ray.
Yeah, and like there wouldn't be many people would get into the dressing room after a match. Thankfully, I'd have enough respect, and the players would have respect. I'll never show them in a bad light. You know, I don't think it's my business to show anybody particularly in a bad light. Now, if there's a row or a boxing match, then we'll take it and we'll send it out. But, you know, if there's somebody undressed or something like that, then I wouldn't bother. So
yes,
and they would have confidence in me and say, that's Ray, you know, he won't do you, right? But Owen Kelly, who I'd known, and Owen Kelly, by the way, is only embarking on his managerial career, and I think he'll be one of the managers of the future. He'll be a Jim Gavin, believe it or not, I believe, in the future, right? Because he does a lot of things very methodical and all that. But I had slagged Owen, as I've slagged Owen for 20 years, but I've slagged Owen many times during that year, and I said, look, if you win the All-Ireland, I'm going into the dressing room. And he said, look, Ray, as I promised, you know. So I went in, and if you have their radio on now, you can turn the volume down, because they literally banged on the bang, 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 bang on the table, and just the buzz in there was just something else, like mad. Now, I would have kept that for that year's Season of Sundays, because I don't publish the pictures from the dressing room the next morning. There's no point.
Yes.
You have the guys lifting the cup, you have the great action, you have the last minute goal, you have whatever it is. No need to publish them, you know.
Days thereafter.
But really, some crack in that dressing room, I can
imagine. Some choice language, no doubt, and songs and tunes and everything else. Really great photograph. The next one, 18th of May 2011. So this is the late Queen Elizabeth II listening to a speech made by the Uachtaráin Cumann Lúthlas Gael Christopher O'Cuna during her tour of Croke Park. So this was the state visit, of course, the famous state visit by the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh at the time, and this was taken in Croke Park, Ray.
Yeah, I'm sort of fascinated in that she accidentally chose a yellow suit, a yellow hat, yellow everything, right? And then she stands in front of a gold-coloured crest, shown, 1884. And for those of us who would know of the punishment and everything that the Irish people sustained over many, many years, I believe that she's just paying attention, listening to Christy Cooney, and there's just something unusual, the fact that the placement of where she happens to stand vis-a-vis where I was standing, it just made it slightly different. It's not a brilliant ever photograph, but it's a historical occasion,
Yeah, absolutely.
The next one,
this is a poignant one, so this one's called Scrum Half.
Yeah, the next one brought me, second prize in the sports category in the World Press in 20, I'm not sure, was it 2011 or 2012?
It was taken in 2011, yeah.
But the thing about this is that I wouldn't be known for my rugby prowess, but it proved to be, it proved to be good enough that the judges saw fit to award it second prize in the world. And when I say second prize in the world, that's like thousands upon thousands upon thousands of photographs. Regrettably, I say now, and I send my condolences to Vincent and Ita, this man's mum and dad, the player that's most prominent, the scrum half, is Conor Crowley. And while it's a great picture, I'm saddened to say that actually Conor passed away in August of earlier this year.
Oh.
I believe I believe your man in Aviva today is also in the photograph.
Yeah, and if you can see in the photograph for the people there. So this is a game between Old Belvedere and Blackrock. Heavy rain in Dublin on the night, and there's mud. What makes this photograph iconic for people who can't see it, you can see the droplets of rain coming down, the steam coming off the players, and the torrential conditions, the mud. And on the far right of that photograph, Andy Dunn. And we might actually go to Andy at the Aviva Stadium. It's Ireland 35, Fiji 17. But Andy, You're in this photograph. You've texted me once you heard that Ray was on, and it is an iconic photograph. And very sad that Conor Crowley is no longer with us.
Yeah, it's a poignant photograph. I mean, as a standalone image, I've heard it compared to a Caravaggio painting, and I think it's a brilliant comparison because it does look like Renaissance art. It doesn't actually look to me like a real photo or image. There was something about the lighting, obviously, that Ray captured. It was torrential rain, there was floodlights. It was not typical for what people probably see in modern sport. The pitch, people covered in mud, stadiums and the like now are very clean, and players don't get covered in mud anymore. So it's a very evocative image from kind of rugby in the past, and also it's now become this very poignant image, as I think it was entitled Scrum Half by Ray, and the focus of the picture is Conor Crowley, who is a brilliant club scrum half for Blackrock and has sadly passed away since last August. So yeah, it's an amazing image.
Absolutely. Great stuff, Andy. We'll come back to you for more on the game as well. Of course, Ireland 35, Fiji 17. It is it's an iconic photograph. That makes it all the more poignant, Ray, I think, doesn't it? The fact that Conor has passed away.
That's unfortunate, and it is particularly regrettable. And as I say, his mum and dad are Vincent and Edita, and I would extend, even at this late stage, my condolences to them. On a different side to that, understanding that he has since passed away, but as I said, I don't do rugby that much, and of course every match at the time in the league it's always on at 2:30.
Mm-hmm.
So Ray goes about 90 minutes before the match, so 90 minutes before 2:30 is about 1 o'clock, thereabouts. So Ray arrived around down to Old Belvedere at 1 o'clock and went in, not a sinner in the place. And I said, well, who's going to give me the teams? And they said, well, what are you looking for the teams for? Anyway, to cut a long story short, it was an international day, and there was a match in France, I think it was that day, and the match was on at 3 o'clock, and this match wasn't on until, say, 6 o'clock or whenever. So I ended up going into the bar. I don't drink, but I had a Diet Coke above in the bar, and I had to sit around, and eventually, while we had a lovely afternoon, we watched the match and everything was fine. Then came the match, and as soon as the match came, the rain came.
Unbelievable.
And I got drowned. I did get a lovely picture. And because it was a scrum half, we didn't even send it out on the day. You don't really send out pictures of scrum half. But when the competition came around, I said, here, we might enter that.
Yeah, and Andy is actually, you'll not be able to see this on screen, but Andy Dunn has texted me on another photograph you took from that night, where he's on the right-hand side helping to carry off a player.
You can see how mucky it was then.
Yeah, and as Andy said, it's like a Caravaggio, the scrum half painting. It's...
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Andy. But yes, I'm not one, as I said at the start, I don't gloat or I don't shout about it.
Yeah.
But
you can let other people do that for you.
It's when I say I don't have pictures at home, I have that picture on my wall in the office.
Brilliant.
That and a Dublin team picture that I have taken many years ago. But other than that, they're the only two pictures I have.
And rightly so, you have it up on the wall. We're nearly out of time, but we've two more photographs we want to bring people as well. So 9th of August 2012, Katie Taylor, she beats Sofia Ochagava of Russia. This is the women's light 60 kilogram final contest. Pete Taylor, her coach and father, Coach Zorantia in the photograph as well. This is of course the London 2012 Olympic Games in the XL Arena at the Royal Victoria Dock in London. This is a brilliant one, Ray, and you were there in the room, and
well, I was on a busman's holiday.
Yeah, well, you had an interesting one because a lot of people have spoken, and I think the noise broke records and decibel levels for the noise that the Irish fans had for Katie Taylor as she was winning gold, and that affected you. You can confirm that.
I can confirm that.
Tell us how you can confirm that.
I've been at Rugby World Cup, I've been at Soccer World Cup, I've been at All-Ireland finals, but I came home out of that with a medical condition called tinnitus, or tinnitus as some people call it. I remember a week or so after that I went to the chemist and said, oh God, I have an awful buzz in my ear. And I believe I got the buzz in my ear, which I still have since 2012, and I will have the rest of my life, albeit I could have a lot worse. But that's the day, like myself and Tomas Greedy, son of Frank, the Irish runner man, but he actually his remembrance run is on tomorrow in the park. But we went over on a busman's holiday and we had no tickets going. And sure, again, I was standing relatively near the stadium, and I remember I had more tickets. I gave away tickets in the finish, but look, there were much better pictures. But I just include that because I always remember, like, tinnitus, while nominal in comparison to many things that people suffer. As I sit here, there's a buzz going through both ears. Right, just bzzz.
All because of that. It all leads back to the Katie Taylor one goal.
I believe, like the night I was in Iran at the soccer match when the banger arrived down beside me and nearly burned me coat.
2001.
The noise out of that stadium, the noise out of many things I've been at, but this was twice, 3, 4 times as strong.
Do you ever wear the ear protection when you're stadiums? You don't.
No, I don't.
You didn't.
I don't wear wet coats. I don't wear anything. Look, I know you're not looking at it on the radio, but I'm sitting here in a short sleeve shirt. I don't feel the cold. I like my job, and I sit down on my backside on the ground. I concentrate on what I'm doing, and then, believe it or not, I get a thing what I call achievement fatigue.
Right.
Ball burst, game over. About 20 minutes after the match, when you have all the pictures sent, that's it. And then I'm exhausted after that.
Home and wrecked, I can imagine.
Come here, there's one last one
there.
There
is, the last photograph. We touched on it, I guess, because it's on the cover of A Season of Sundays, this latest edition that's out, and people can buy it in all the bookshops. But you have Sean O'Shea of Kerry and his teammates Killian Spillane on the left and Adrian Spillane celebrating. So the referee, who's also in shot, Paddy Nealon, blowing the full-time whistle. He has his arms out to signal that. This is the All-Ireland semi-final match, the iconic game, Ray, between Dublin and Kerry at Croker.
Yeah, iconic if you're from Kerry.
Of course. I suppose iconic for the neutrals as well. Dublin fans might not want to remember the last kick and how it unfurled.
No, but it was a case of there was a very late free, as you know, and he came up to take the free. And in fact, and I know again you can't see it on your radio, but I'll show it there for those of you who are looking in. You know, we've a series of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 or 11 pictures of him coming up, taking the free. The free goes over. Referee blows the final whistle, and to quote myself from earlier, ball burst, game over.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bit like this interview.
Yeah. Well, listen, Ray, it's been really, really brilliant to.
Before I go, I'd like to acknowledge the support of the likes of Carol's of Tullamore. They're a lovely company, lovely people, and for the last number of years, well, obviously they were the longest ever supporters of Offaly football and hurling and GAA. They've given that up now, but they've been very kind to us. And without these type of people, no doubt, with your own show and various sponsors and advertisers, it couldn't happen.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes it happen. As I said, people can get A Season of Sundays, this latest edition, in bookstores and wherever you usually get it.
It's actually nearly sold out because this year, believe it or not, this year we're normally out about the last week in November or the first week in December, but because of the way the championship went, we were out on the 1st of October. And I barely have enough of them now.
Yeah, I can imagine. They're flying off the shelves. It's a good sign. Just to finish, someone has texted to 53106. Really enjoying listening to Ray. Great storyteller. Just the right amount of technical note. Season of Sundays is fantastic. Somehow he made me look like I was an athlete in the last 2 miles of the marathon recently. Thank you, Ray. Very enjoyable, says Tony. You've had an incredible career and you continue to have an incredible career, Ray. So delighted you've come into the studio and shared some of those brilliant photographs. Of course, people can watch this back on YouTube or listen back to the podcast if you've missed any of it. But Ray McManus, photography legend with Sportsfile, I think it's safe to say. Thanks a million for coming into the studio to us.
Good man. Thanks for the kind mention of the book.
Absolutely.
On sale here or there or wherever.
Yeah, pick up a copy. I certainly will be. Ray, thanks a million.
You can have that one for yourself.
Good man. I'll get you to sign it as well. The whole lot. We'll be back after this with OTB Football Saturday. Stay with us.
Listen live or listen back on the News Talk app, powered by Go Loud.
Try the latest cordless vacuum cleaner technology from Samsung with a full 100-day money-back guarantee on selected models. For more information and a full demonstration, call to Power City today.
Turn Black Friday red with the Red Friday sale from Virgin Media. Get a free 40-inch smart TV when you switch to 500 meg ultra-fast reliable broadband and TV 360. All for just €59 a month for 12 months. Switch in-store or at virginmedia.ie. Virgin Media. Bring on amazing.
T's and C's apply. See virginmedia.ie, subject to availability. New customers only, 12-month contract. TCL 40-inch TV free to new customers taking 500 meg plus big TV bundle. €59 a month for 12 months, €99 thereafter. Ends December 1st, 2022.
Looking for the